Hey YouTube, back again with an Ableton Push 3 video. And if you've watched any of my previous videos, you know that this is the Push 3 controller version. Sorry, I went blank there for a second. This is just the controller version. It's not standalone. It doesn't have a built-in computer or anything like that. And going back to my first video as to why I got this, yes, this is more than sufficient for me because of my studio layout, which I will do. One day I'm going to do a tour showing you my studio. This is basically going to stay in my studio. It's not going to go anywhere. It's a heavy device, and I guess if I was a touring musician, I would find a way to lug this around. But for me, as of today, it's perfectly fine. Just being standalone, I get so much joy out of this machine. Just being here in my studio, it's fine. It's more than fine for my needs. Okay. Today I want to concentrate again on something very specific. The videos I do, they kind of concentrate on specific areas, and they're targeted more to actual beginners of Push 3, I would say, and maybe some users who are kind of new to Push 2 as well. But because I've got a Push 3, I'm obviously, and the controller version, I'm obviously going to be tailored towards those types of videos, yeah? And I do use this machine daily, or if not, I use Ableton daily, just to try and get into the flow of being able to express myself and create music using Ableton, okay? And as I embark on this journey of my daily interaction with this fantastic device, anything I find, I decided I'm going to upload to my YouTube channel to help others, provide value for others, because I was kind of in that boat and am in that boat myself. And I looked at probably every video on this device, and there was plenty of very good ones, but a lot of them really skip through a lot of things very quickly. And my slow old brain needs things to be done in like baby steps, okay? So that's hence why I do these videos, and why I try to break things down into really small, manageable chunks. And as I do these videos, I learn, and hopefully you will learn as well. Okay, what I want to talk about today is just basically switching on your device and just how you record something, yeah? And it's not so much about recording, it's more about messing around and using the capture button. So today is about the capture button, okay? And there were two ways that I use my push when, you know, coming up with mainly like a beat. I'm very rhythmic and beats orientated in terms of what flows out of me, what flows out of my brain naturally, okay? It's normally beats, not melodies or harmonies. And this is why I'm trying to learn and study music theory, so I can really understand that language better and be able to express myself in that language, okay? Yeah, what I normally do, if I put on the push, I have a default template set up where I have my external synth set up on channel 1. I've got another external synth. This is basically my modular synth. This is a Micro Freak. This is basically, now we're talking about inbuilt sounds in Ableton. This is basically a drum rack, but that drum rack is actually controlled both by the Push 3 pads themselves, and also by my Nord Drum 3 drum synth. Okay, this thing is another video series on its own. It's amazing. Okay, I haven't even dug into how to use this thing properly, but I basically have this MIDI wired connected up to my setup over there, and I found that the best way for me to use this as an external drum controller is just to turn the volume down. I know you have a local control setting on this Nord Drum 3 where it won't trigger any of its internal sounds, but to be honest, I found that you lose some functionality when you do that. I'm not going to go into it now, but I find it always better to just turn the volume down. It is triggering the internal sound still, but because you've got the volume down, you don't hear them, and you only hear these sounds here now are just coming from Ableton. And because I've got it wired up by connected via MIDI through a cable, there's literally there is zero, and when I mean zero lag. Now I have some wireless MIDI devices that I can put onto here on any other bits of my kit. And when I did connect one up using the strongest radio frequencies, I was getting a lag, and it was noticeable for me. And when I use the same MIDI device on like a synth, it's actually not that bad, because I don't know, the timing on the drums is much more precise, yeah? So I just use the cable, and that's solved any of my issues, yeah? So basically what I'm trying to say is there are two ways that I would normally input something into Ableton on a drum rack, either through my Nord Drum 3 or via the pads on the Push 3. Now, more often than not, I would switch on the Push 3. I have my default template set up, as I said. I've got a drum rack on here, another drum rack. I've got an internal synth sound here. I've got a sample here that goes into a simpler. I've got a plug-in here, and I've got another external synth here on track number 8, which is my Behringer Crave. But anyway, and basically when it starts, it's that my template is set up. Default template is set up to start on, have this track enabled, as you can tell, because it's white. The bottom button is white. And then I'll just, start messing around with the drum sounds or whatever, and come up with something. But another thing I want to say is, by default, you can see this fixed length button is flashing. If I press and hold it, the screen will change to tell me that if I do press record, that it will default to 4 bars, 8 bars or whatever. I've got it default to 4 bars. So if I did press record, I don't need to worry about stopping the recording after a certain time, because after 4 bars I know it's just going to repeat. So that's on the recording side of things, yeah. So this is why this is flashing. And what I normally do is have the metronome set up as well. I don't have it set up for some reason. I didn't include that in my template. But anyway, that's beside the point. I just wanted to make you realize why this is flashing. Okay. So what I normally do, start up the Push. It goes into my default template on track 3 with a drum rack, and I normally I'm feeling something in my head, and I would just want to bang it out. So there are 2 ways of doing this, and the first way, I wouldn't advise you to do that, but it doesn't matter if you do it, is to just come up with a drum beat, yeah? And what you could do then is press the capture button, yeah? That's what I love about the Push 3, is they have this dedicated capture button. And on the Push 2, I don't think they have it, but they've had it in Ableton Live in the software for quite a while now. And there have been other non-Ableton controllers, let's say, that have got capture buttons on them. I'm looking across the room at my Novation Launchpad X, that's got a dedicated capture button. And this is a brilliant function, yeah, because it takes away the pressure of you going, right, I'm going to record, and before that you were playing around, you go, right, now I'm gonna record what I've got in my brain. And then somehow when you press that record button, I don't know, it puts some pressure on you, and you kind of lose that natural flow that you had, yeah? Whereas this allows you to go back in time and capture that flow that just came out of you when you weren't concentrating on recording anything, yeah? And this is why this is brilliant. So when I pressed that, it immediately started playing what I was just playing around on. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go from the device view, and I'm going to go into the clip view. And don't forget, I'm on my drum rack track. And if I go to quickly hold down and go to the session view, it shows you that I'm in this track, yeah? And it put the clip on the first scene. And yeah, going back into the clip view, and these are the events that I've just recorded, okay? And this is, you have different layouts of your drum racks, of your drum type tracks, or your melodic and harmonic type tracks, okay? I'm on a drum type track, so then I have 16 pads here to allow me to play the sounds, okay? I can change the layout. At the moment, I know I'm on 60, just because I'm familiar with this machine, I know I am on a 64 pad layout. What does that mean? It means each one of these pads can have a sound that I can press the pad and trigger that sound, okay? If I press layout again, you can see I have the drum loop selector layout. And that means that I have access to only 16 sounds, okay? The pads are split into 3 sections. You have it split in half, the top part, and then you have the bottom part, which is split into 2. This section here just gives you access to 16 sounds at a time. So if you had 64 sounds, you would only be able to access 16 of them at a time in this section, okay? And to get through your different sounds, you could I think you can use this octave up and down, the buttons, but I definitely know you can use this slider as well, this touch strip, okay, to go through your different sounds. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. And what this first upper section is actually a sequencer. So if you can see, I've got this drum pad selected, which is my bass drum, and that shows me for the 1, 2, it's just 2 bars, yeah, because they're kind of highlighted quite. Is it 2 bars or is it just showing me? No, sorry, it's actually, the loop length is actually 4 bars, yeah, because I know even though these 2 pads are a little bit dull, it's got 4 pads and each pad is a bar, okay? So basically this is what this loop selector layout means. It means that you've got access to a sequencer, you've got access to the 16 of your sounds that you can play, and then you've got access to determine how long you want your overall clip length to be, how many bars. Each one of these pads is a bar, so you can have 1 bar or you can have up to 16 bars, okay, which is pretty cool. And just at the moment you've got a white bar here which is just showing me the first 2 bars, hence why these 2 are highlighted, okay? So that's one layout. And because if I press another drum beat that a drum sound that I didn't use, this sequencer bit should go blank because I didn't put any events there. I didn't record anything. See, so it's gone blank. This sound I didn't use, but if I go back to the snare, because I use this, see, this is where all the snares are coming in along with the, is it just snares? Yeah, I think these are just the snare beats, yeah, when they came in, okay? Going back to the what I'm talking about in terms of the layout. So that's the loop selector layout, okay? If I press the layout again, it goes to 16 velocities. And what does that mean? That means for this drum sound, the sequencer is still there in the upper bit, yeah? The sounds are still there in the sounds section, the drum pad section. But this, instead of being 16 bars worth of clip length, these are now 16 levels of velocity for each one of these drum sounds for each one of these pads, okay? I've got my drum pad or whatever sound you got on here. I happen to have a kick drum highlighted here. So so that means I can go from the lowest level of that. So you've got 16 steps of velocity. I can go from the lowest level to the highest, and it goes up incrementally per pad, per sound. So if I select this one, yeah, you've got access to that. So if you wanted to, you can have just the one sound and just play or select it and just either live record the particular velocity you want for that sound, or you can just step sequence, press the sound and press the level you want and input that level into the sequence. It's getting a little bit complex. Anyway, but what I wanted to say is that the screen resolution changes on the first 2 modes, but on the last mode, which is 64 pads layout, as in there's no sequencer, there's no loop selector, there's no velocity section. These are just all drum sounds. So you've expanded the small 16 pad section into, you times it by 4 basically to access all of your sounds, yeah? Because that might be quite useful if you do sample, if you like cut up the sample into individual, I can't remember the name of it, I'm sorry, I've gone blank. Well, you get a sample and you splice it into individual pads and you want to trigger each one individually, or, you know, this is really useful for that. Or you've just got lots of individual sounds you want to play. And what I like about this view is whatever sounds you recorded are magnified on the display, okay? I only recorded 2 sounds, So I only see 2 of them there. And that's nice because if you want to go in and see a particular event using the jog wheel, it automatically puts me into edit mode. If you want to go and edit one of these events, it's nice and big and you can scroll through and just see it very clearly, okay? I'm only using 2 sounds, so obviously it's quite easy to do it like that. But when you go to the other views, like the loop selector view, it seems to show you all the events at the same time and minimizes each one of the events, which is a little bit annoying because I know I've only triggered 2 sounds, but it squishes it down. And even for the 16 velocities, it stays the same as well. But anyway, I'm going to press the layout, go back to 64 pads mode. Getting back to what I did initially when I was playing around on the drum beats, I was playing around on the pads and then thought, okay, I like that, press capture. And you remember that after pressing capture, it immediately played the events that I was playing around with. And the push, or the software, is clever enough to work out the tempo and maintain the tempo that I was playing around in, and then automatically knows how many bars it should be, and then it loops back on itself and plays whatever you recorded. I'm just telling you about drum beats, but it could be for anything. It could be you're playing chords or whatever, you're playing a melody or something. It's going to estimate what the timing is, and then put that into a clip and loop it for you, yeah? Which is brilliant. Now, I was saying that I don't recommend doing that. I recommend if you have some groove or some music in you and you're just playing around or you're trialing out the sounds, I always recommend to use the tap tempo, because no matter what you want to express from within yourself, it's got to have a tempo. It's not going to be random. So I'll get onto that in a minute, yeah? But yeah, that's the preferred way, I think, or what I recommend to you is to use the tap tempo and then start doodling. Because when you use the capture, it's more likely that your events from your drum beats, chords or melodies are going to be in time, and it's going to be easier for you to clean up any small errors rather than having a whole clip full of errors, okay? And completely losing the feel that you were trying to express, okay? Anyway, if I use the first method without using the metronome, what I then do is after I play it is then I put the metronome on and I press it once and start playing. Well, actually, sorry, let me just tap the tempo button, and the tempo that it thought that's actually quite a clean one. The tempo that it thought I was playing at is 108.5. It's normally the digits are normally like not so clean, okay? So that's quite a good one. So what I like then is to just round up or round down, okay? To get to a nice clean amount. So 109, so instead of 108.5 it's 109, okay? And I press the metronome, it's flashing now. That means when I press the play button, the metronome is going to beep and make its sound to let me know how on or off I was timing wise. So let's see. Okay, so when I didn't have the metronome on, for me that groove felt pretty cool. Yeah, it felt okay. But the metronome is letting you know, actually no, your timing isn't that great. Okay, so this is why I say to use the second method, to do the metronome first and then jam along and then press capture, yeah? So if you didn't press the metronome first, no worries, that's fine. What I then would do is press and hold the quantize, yeah? And for me, like I said, when I deal with drum beats, well, mainly drums and rhythmic things that I start with, I normally start with that area. And of course the drums are paramount to the timing, so they need to be pretty bang on time, okay? Even if it's just your bass drum and your snare, they need to be pretty tight, because all the other sounds and elements of your musical creation are going to be based off of that. And if you want some other element to be slightly off time or 16th or 32nd note, you've got to have some foundation to deviate off from, if you understand what I'm saying. So when it comes to me playing around, not using the metronome to get some sense of timing, pressing the capture and going back and correcting the drum beats, which is what I normally start on, I will set my quantize pretty tight. I don't really do it 100%. So I'm pressing the quantize, holding it, and by default it's 100% on your default template. And I might put it to maybe 96, because I think the timing is okay. Yeah? 96, 90, oh, I can never get this to go to the number I want. You know what? 90 or 96, 90, I don't know. Let's leave it at 97. I haven't quantized anything yet. I'm going to let go. When I pressed and held the quantize, that's just allowed me to set my quantization, okay? And to actually quantize all of the events now, what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to come out of edit mode, because otherwise I believe it's just going to quantize that one event I've got highlighted. Just going to go done, got nothing selected. And what I'm going to do, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it in the video, I'm going to press quantize, yeah? But before I do that, let me just play it again. Okay, now I'm going to press quantize and play it. That's much better. I think that's much better. It's much tighter. It feels more, the groove is much better for me. Okay, so yeah, like I said, you can do the capture, just freestyle, do something and do the capture and try and correct it afterwards. But I tend to find the results are not as good as when I press the metronome first. Okay, now another way I use, like I said, I use the Nord Drum 3. When I'm using the pads, it's good. I can normally express myself the way I want to. But when I move over to the Nord Drum, okay, I can normally get some more intimate and more intricate beats out, because I'm using rubber pads and drumsticks, yeah? So let me just go to the next clip in the same track, and I'll give you an example. Okay, let's go. Okay, now let's see how that comes out with the capture. Not bad, but I can tell that the timing is off on most of those events. Let me go into the clip view. Okay. What layer am I in? 64. Okay, it's made them look small. I don't know why, but anyway. Yeah. So let me play that again. Okay, it's okay. It's captured the essence of what I was trying to play, and it's okay. But this is the reason why I prefer to have the metronome playing, because without the metronome, I just played on my drum, just play that drum beat on my Nord Drum 3. But the problem happens is when I now press quantize, it's going to lose all that intricate snare drums patterns that I played. So I'm going to press quantize. Let me play it again and listen. Then I'm going to do the quantize button. I'm going to quantize that. See, it lost it. Listen again. See the end, it's lost it. Let me do undo and play it again and listen. See, when I quantize it, lost that. So my tip to you is when you're, let me go into the next clip. When you're jamming, my tip to you is when you're jamming, use the tap tempo or set a tempo and just get your metronome going, okay? And then jam along and then do the capture, because it's more likely that you have something, you have your core tempo there for you to jam along to, and all the events that you record in capture are more likely to be closer to the timing that you want and easier to tidy up afterwards and much cleaner, and it just makes it much easier. So let me just put the metronome on. I'm going to put it quite loud. I'll press this button 3 times to cycle through the different levels that I can access through this button. So I went to Q, that's my main output, press again, headphone output, press again, master volume, press again, Q. It's on minus 12.9 decibels. Just want to make it a little bit louder. Okay, so I've got a rhythm to jam along to, and I'm going to go back onto the Nord drum. Yeah. Let's see how that goes. That's off as well. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm going to quantize and see how that goes, yeah? Quantize is completely, you can see, I can see it's taking those events out. What I'm going to do is undo, is put those events in for those snare rolls. And what I'm going to do is change my quantize to 30 seconds, because those snare beats, I think, fall within the 30 seconds timings of this tempo, okay? So let me play it again as it was recorded live on the drum 3P, and then I'm going to quantize it at 30 seconds, see what happens. Okay, so basically, yeah, I mean, if you have very intricate beats like that, you really got to get your timing sorted out. My timing wasn't very good. It kept the first kind of event and then it messed up the others. So you kind of got to play around with it. But for what I'm trying to say, basically for like simpler things that you're playing around with, I still think it's advantageous to use the tap tempo or to set your tempo first. And then, I'm just going to stop this. And then, just press play. Just press play, get your tempo, feel it, and then start either playing your keys or playing your drum beats. And if they're not too intricate, then when you do press the capture, it's going to be just much easier. And when you do then go, right, I just want to quantize it. I just want to quantize what I just played. I think it's just going to be overall a much easier job for you to get the timing that you're looking for, okay? So I'm going to leave it like that for today. Probably a bit of an erratic video because it's sometimes a bit of a challenge trying to get what's in your brain out and demo it to people on YouTube, but I'm trying my best. Hopefully I'll get better over time, but that was just it for today. Just to recap, if you're going to use capture, use your tap tempo, use your tempo, press play, start jamming, and then press the capture, and hopefully it will make your events that you recorded more in time and allow you to produce and get that feeling that you're looking for. And if not, it might be a little bit easier for you to clean up afterwards, depending on what you're trying to record. Okay, so that's it for now. Thanks for watching.